The train had already disappeared beyond the mountains. Yet the woman remained standing on the platform. Everyone else had gone home. She had no family waiting, no money for another ticket, no place to sleep. Only a battered suitcase beside her and a letter that had destroyed the last bit of hope in her heart. She quietly whispered, "There's nowhere left for me to go." Then a little girl walking beside her father noticed the tears in her eyes. The child stopped. She looked at her father and asked, "Daddy, why does that lady look like she's waiting for someone who isn't coming?" The rancher looked across the platform, and instead of walking past, he walked toward her. What the little girl said next would give the lonely woman something she had not felt in years: belonging. Stay until the very end, because this story is not simply about finding a new home. It is about discovering that sometimes the family you need finds you when you have completely stopped looking. If you love emotional Wild West stories about kindness, hope, and second chances, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stay with us for more unforgettable stories. The final whistle of the evening train echoed across Willow Creek Station as black smoke drifted into the orange sky. Travelers hurried toward waiting wagons. Porters carried trunks across the wooden platform, and families disappeared down the dusty road toward homes, where warm meals and familiar faces waited for them. But one woman remained exactly where she had been standing for nearly an hour. Her name was Anna Miller, and beside her rested a battered brown suitcase with one broken latch. Inside were 2 dresses, a worn Bible, and a bundle of letters tied together with faded blue thread. Everything else she had once owned was gone. She had arrived in Willow Creek believing she was traveling toward a new life. A distant cousin had promised her work in a boarding house, steady wages, and a small room of her own. She had sold nearly everything to afford the journey west. But when she arrived, she discovered the boarding house had closed months earlier. Her cousin had moved away, and the only address she carried led to an empty building. Anna had spent the afternoon asking for help. Shopkeepers shook their heads. The innkeeper demanded money she did not have. Even the station master offered only the painful advice that she should take the next train east. But she couldn't. There was no east left for her. She had already lost her parents, her fiancé, and the small farm that had once belonged to her family. The land had been taken after her father's debts overwhelmed them, and the man she had intended to marry had broken their engagement when he learned there would be no inheritance. One disappointment had followed another until Anna had stopped expecting kindness from anyone. She finally sat on the edge of a wooden bench and stared at the empty tracks. A folded letter rested in her lap. She had read it so many times that the paper had nearly torn along the creases. It contained only a few cold sentences telling her that the family who had once promised to help her could not afford the trouble of taking her in. Anna pressed the letter against her chest and closed her eyes. She whispered, "I don't know what I'm supposed to do now." A few yards away, rancher Thomas Reed was preparing to leave the station with his 8-year-old daughter, Lily. Thomas had been widowed for nearly 4 years, and since then his entire life had revolved around raising the little girl he adored. Lily was cheerful, curious, and far too observant for her age. She noticed things adults ignored. As they walked toward their wagon, she suddenly stopped. Thomas turned around. "What is it?" Lily pointed toward Anna. "Daddy, look." Thomas followed her gaze and saw the lonely woman sitting beneath the station lamp, trying to hide her tears from everyone passing by. She looked sad. Lily whispered, "Maybe she needs someone." Thomas glanced toward the fading sky. He had a long ride ahead, and darkness would soon cover the road. Helping strangers in frontier towns could bring complications he did not understand. Yet Lily continued watching Anna. Finally, Thomas sighed and walked over. He removed his hat respectfully before speaking. "Mom, are you waiting for another train?" Anna looked up and shook her head. "No." Her voice was barely audible. "Then are you waiting for someone?" Anna looked toward the empty road. "I was." Thomas did not press her. He simply noticed the suitcase beside her and the worn condition of her coat. Before he could say anything else, Lily stepped forward and smiled. Would you like to come home with us for supper?" Anna stared at the little girl in surprise. No one had spoken to her with such warmth all day. I don't want to be a burden," she whispered. Lily frowned as though the idea itself were strange. "You can't be a burden just because you're hungry." Thomas looked at his daughter, then back at Anna. Something about the simple innocence of those words touched him deeply. He extended his hand. "My daughter has made the invitation," he said gently. "I'd be honored if you'd accept it." Anna hesitated for a long moment before finally placing her hand in his. She did not know where the wagon would take her. She did not know what Thomas wanted. She only knew that for the first time that day, someone had looked at her as though she mattered. And as the three of them left the station beneath the fading sunset, Anna had no idea that the road ahead would lead to far more than one warm meal. It would lead her toward a life she had stopped believing was possible. Thomas's ranch was quiet when they arrived, but Lily immediately changed that. She showed Anna the flower garden, the chickens, and the small room where she said Anna could stay. During supper, Anna tried to eat slowly, afraid that accepting too much kindness would make her a burden. Lily noticed and pushed the bread basket toward her. "You don't have to earn dinner here," she said. Thomas smiled, realizing his daughter had already decided that Anna belonged. Over the next few days, Anna helped around the ranch, repairing clothes, cooking and caring for the animals. Thomas never pressured her to talk about her past. But one afternoon, he discovered the truth when a man from town arrived with a warning. Anna's former fiancé was searching for her, claiming she had stolen money from his family. Thomas refused to send her away based on an accusation. Instead, he promised her one thing: "You won't face this alone." Anna finally understood that the ranch was becoming more than shelter. It was becoming the first place in years where she felt truly safe. The accusation against Anna was finally exposed when the station clerk produced records proving her former fiancé had taken the money himself and blamed her to avoid prison. Thomas stood beside Anna as the truth was revealed, while Lily proudly held Anna's hand. Afterward, Anna told Thomas she could leave now that her name was clear. Thomas gently shook his head. "You don't have to leave just because the trouble is over." He looked toward Lily, who smiled and whispered, "We already saved you a place." Months later, Anna became part of the ranch without ever being asked to prove she belonged. She taught Lily to read, helped Thomas manage the farmhouse, and brought warmth back to a home that had been quiet for years. She had arrived at the station believing she had reached the end of her story. Instead, she discovered that sometimes losing everything is not the end. It is the moment life finally makes room for something better. Moral: never underestimate the power of one kind invitation. A person who feels forgotten may only need one open door to remember their worth. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and visit us for more emotional Wild West stories about kindness, courage, and second chances.